Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 38 of the Push Podcast. This is the podcast for senior marketers who want to up their stakeholder management, listen to strategy talk, or simply feel seen. I'm your host, Jack Ferguson. I'm a brand consultant with over 15 years experience in marketing across more than 20 industries. Today's episode is a solo episode, and I do these solo episodes in between the fortnightly discussions I have with other senior marketers for the simple reason that I can share shorter stories here, I can explore a topic a bit more deeply, and I can also give you some content in between the fortnightly episodes. So today I am going to answer the dreaded question: what can I do when I need to make short-term B2B sales? How do we do that? We've all been pushed to make short-term sales before, but I'm going to talk specifically about what to do, or what I do rather, in this episode when I'm confronted with this, either for my own consultancy or for a client, and I see there's no other way around it. Then we've got to try and make some short-term sales. So maybe this will give you some ideas. I hope it doesn't depress you. Either way, listen in and see how you feel. So firstly, the issue with short-term sales, as we know, is that, and I'm talking about specifically B2B here, is that in most cases, in most categories, about 95% of a B2B market is out of market at any given time. So most of the people in market, or the brands in market, or the companies in market aren't ready to buy right now. And there's nothing you can really do about that. There's a whole plethora of evidence on this. If you Google that, the 95-5 rule, John Dawes, Ehrenberg Bass, the B2B LinkedIn Institute, Sixth Sense, there's a whole range of studies that have been done on this, and they pretty much come out around the same. It's a rough 95-5% split, where 95% of a B2B market is out of market, 5% is in market. So it gets worse, of course, because of the percentage that are in market, that 5%, around 4% of that, so most of that 5%, goes with a provider they already know before they came into market. So they come into market, they have a need, they know someone, or they know a company, or they know a few suppliers, and they just go to them. Alternatively, sometimes they will do a tender process or whatnot, but sometimes these are just for show, or because they have to do them, and they end up going with whoever they were always going to go with. Very frustrating if you tender and you never had a chance in the first place. So of that 4 out of 5, I'm going to say right now, they're pretty much going to be too hard to get to. It's going to be too hard. So we need to focus on that 1%, unfortunately, of the market. So this is a part of the market that's ready to buy or coming into a buying cycle, and they don't have a supplier in mind. So there's 3 things that I will normally do at this stage. And the first one is, before I do anything else, is can I cash in any existing brand equity and get some sales that way? Have you got people on your mailing list that have been responsive for years? Is there some retargeting campaigns that can be run? So people who are already aware of your brand that you try and get in front of and get them to buy if they're in that buying cycle. You could ask contacts if they know someone who has a need. Now, everything that I'm talking about here, when you're talking to someone, that is a big consideration for me, that I will try and ask everyone that I'm speaking to, do you know anyone who might need me right now or soon? So it's not just the person that you're speaking to, it's who they know as well, that I believe are worth focusing on. And another example there is contacting old customers for feedback. And the last question in that 15-minute phone call is, do you know anybody who might need my or our help right now? So anything that taps into the equity that the business or the brand has already built, or even the people within the company, perhaps they could reach out to contacts as well. I think your past work is like a bank. It's better to withdraw from it before you start begging strangers. The other issue here is, if someone does have a need, it's not always visible externally. It's not like you can necessarily go somewhere and it's like, oh, here's all the people with a need for our services right now. But there are a couple of ways that you can externally see whether someone has a need for a B2B service. And one of those is through search intent. So people searching for keywords related to the service. It gives you a chance at getting some short-term sales. So here you could hire, or we could hire, some talented marketing tacticians to get some campaigns up and running fast, iterate quickly, and hopefully get some leads in. Pay-per-click campaigns are obviously the only way to go here, because an SEO campaign is going to take too long if you aren't already well underway with that. And provided your back end is strong, this may give you a chance at some short-term sales. Now, at this point, I always think about the fact that you got to remember that the people you're talking to are most likely going to be a little bit more price sensitive. They're not coming to you for you necessarily. They've got a need and they're looking for someone. So they're probably going to be vetting more suppliers than if they just came to you and wanted to work with you. And they can be a bit more price sensitive, I find, when you're just trying to get a short-term sale. You've got to try and build rapport quite quickly. And at the end of the day, you still are kind of one face out of five to them. Consider that as well, that when we are chasing short-term B2B sales, they might just be for cash flow. They're not necessarily going to be ideal clients. So that's a caveat here with all the things I'm speaking about. So the last area I'd look, so here's how we can see whether someone has a need, is there are sites like Upwork, like Expert360, that people come onto those sites and they say, I have a need. So if you need short-term sales, you may need to compete here. Again, not ideal, because you're going to be getting compared to a whole lot of people. You might have to take a little bit of a haircut on price, potentially. But if you need the money, if the company needs the money, that might be just what you have to do to get you through a cash flow crunch. Those are the things I do when I need to chase short-term B2B sales. I don't like doing it, but if I had to, number one is cash in on any existing brand equity I have. Number two is search intent and running pay-per-click campaigns to try and get some leads in that way. And number three is looking on sites like Upwork and Expert360 to try and get some sales in that way. Remembering with number two and number three in particular, they're probably not going to be your ideal client, and that's okay. Thanks for listening in this week. I hope that was helpful. I will chat to you again next week.